So this is the course outline of CISSP. You can find this course outline from the internet, or I can send this PDF file with you, so you will have everything for the preparation of the exam. So length of exam is 3 hours. Number of question 100 to 150. Okay, no negative marking. Okay, question will be multiple choice, advanced innovative items. Sometimes it happens they will ask you to arrange the answers accordingly, 1 2 3 4 short by shorting, this kind of thing. So exam language, definitely go for the English, don't go for any other language. You won't get any extra time for this. This is very common. And testing center you need to find from Pearson VUE. Okay, so what happened, CISSP use CAT method. CAT is a method, not cat is an animal here. So the thing is, CAT method means if you make a correct decision, or your first question is correct, then second questions will be little bit more difficult. So if you make the second question correct, third question will be much more difficult. And if you make a mistake or give a wrong answer for the question number 4, the next question will be relatively easy. So if the question is difficult, it carries a bigger mark. If the question is less difficult, it is carrying a smaller mark. This is very simple. So the question will be difficult, you are getting more marks. If the question is not difficult, you are getting smaller marks. So obviously if you are getting a good question and if you make this a correct, you get a big mark. Try this, obviously. Second thing, you need to pass mark is 700 out of 1000. Okay, time will be 3 hours, but try to complete this within 2.5 hours. For every question you will get 90 seconds, because you have to complete everything. So you need to sit in a computer, they will start the exam, and after the start you will get 3 hours, and in between that if you move from your computer, it will be counted within the 3 hours. If you go to bathroom, take water or something, it will be counted within 3 hours. Okay, so now what happened, they have 8 domains of information security, and each domain carries a certain percentage of marks. The first domain is related to security and risk management. It considers 16% of overall question capacity. So in this module, we will going to talk about risk, how the risk arise in the organization, how we can solve the risk, how to take decision for every risk in the organization. This is all about risk. Even entire CISSP module has been built in such way so that we conduct risk assessment and risk treatment, but this is specifically for the risk. And I will tell you during the course how we can make this risk decision. Second module is asset security. So in an organization, asset doesn't mean hardware only or software only. Everything, even people, is an asset. Even a piece of data, that is an asset. Everything has a value, is asset for the organization. Everything organization keep with them is an asset. So how we are going to protect that asset, that is all about asset security. We need to protect the asset. So that comprise of 10% of total marks. Third module is security architecture and design. So security architecture and engineering is like, words are very heavy, but actually they are not, because it is something like how you are building a system. Building a system means you need to build the authentication systems. So how would you like to make this? You need to arrange some policies, procedures like password aging policy, or maybe MFA, or some other policy kind of things. So based on the risk, based on the impact, based on the company's policy, we generally made this type of architecture. This is all about making an architecture for the organization. Architecture means, for example, think like this way. If your organization has a very critical system and every user is logged in there by using their username and password, if their account is getting compromised, all your system is now getting compromised. So how we can make a good architecture? So either you can have MFA, that is a very good thing. Either if you have a password policy comprise of lot of things like password aging, password expiration, lot of things. But you need to understand what is the good for the organization, because sometimes it happen if you're working with layman's, they don't know about security. Even they sometimes write their password in a piece of paper and paste it in their desk, so that whenever they need to log in, they see the password, they type the password and log in. This is also very risky kind of thing, because other people can see this password and they can log in on behalf of that user. In order to mitigate that, what is the best solution you can implement? Best solution is MFA. User will get a notification or maybe a SMS, based on that they log in. So this is all about how we are building architecture, designing kind of thing. Next part is the communication and network security. This part is comprised of all about network, how we are protecting our network flows within organization. So that means firewall, routers, IDS, IPS, DLP, any other thing within network, and is compromised is 13% of total marks of CISSP. Next part is identity and access management. So identity and access management is all about how we are verifying an identity, how we are authenticate them, and how we are giving them permission to do certain thing within our organization. You have a software and you want some people have access to a particular module. Not all people have the access on that particular module. Maybe the HR people only, they have access on the employee data. No other people can. So you need to verify first who is HR. You need to define that. Okay, I am verifying this is the user. This user is a HR privilege, and now I'm giving them permission to view the employee data. This is all about identity and access management. I'm verifying the identity and giving them access to do something. Next is security assessment and testing. I am very sure that you did this earlier. SAST, DAST, those kind of things. Some parts of them come within this module, and some other parts of them comes under the software development security. Okay, so security assessment and testing also comprise of vulnerability assessment, penetration testing, any other kind of testing. We are enumerating, we are using our SIEM tool to view what are the vulnerabilities organization has. Those are kind of security assessment and testing. So now we have, and it comprises of 12% of total mark. And now we have security operation. Security operation is pretty simple, all about in our everyday life, whatever we do, like incident management we do every day. Sometimes a virus comes into our system, we remove that virus from our system. Maybe we need to implement certain policy, we need to implement certain configuration, need to change some things. All about day-to-day activities comes under security operations. It comprise of incident management, it comprise of disaster recovery, it comprise of business continuity policy. Everything comes within the security operations. And software development security is all about software, but how we are going to read this is system development security. We are not talking only about software here, we are only talking including software, but definitely in a whole bigger way of systems, how we are going to build a system. Because whenever we are building a software, it's a system kind of thing for us. So we will discuss how we are going to build a system in a secure way. Obviously we have different kind of methods, different kind of process. We will learn all of this. So this carries 10% of total marks, total is 100%. This is all you need to know for the CISSP. And these sections, they divide each part. These are the objectives 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. These are the objectives. But I made my study material in such way. So if I am studying, I'm teaching risk here, I'll complete the risk first, then I will go to other section. So it will help you to understand potentially. Okay, now the next thing, remember CISSP is all about thinking, how you are thinking. That is very important as CISSP. If you can think, you will pass the exam. If you cannot think, you cannot pass. No question bank can give you a good score. Okay, so books are very pretty heavy, bulky kind of thing, and it's not possible for you to read the book. So I am going to teach you what is important for you. From the next class, you will take a pencil or pen and a notebook file. That will be very useful for you. Okay. For the purpose of today's class, just understand the ISC2's code of ethics. This code of ethics is written on the website. 100% it is written on their website, and it is also 100% sure you will get 1 or 2 questions from this slide. 100% you will get 1 or 2 questions. Okay, so what is code of ethics means? What ISC2 expect from a ISC2 certification holder or CISSP certification holder. They have 4 principles. So the easiest way to remember is 4 canon is called PAPA. P-A-P-A, PAPA. So you can see the starting P-A-P-A, PAPA. So if you see any question, they will give you a question from this code of ethics, and the answers will be different. 4 options will be different, and they will ask you to identify which is not a ethics from ISC2, or they may ask you which is a correct for ISC2. So if you remember this PAPA word, you can solve this question. So the first thing, protect society and common good. So that means you need to act in such way which benefits society and minimize harm. You need to do for something for the society, for the common good. It's very simple. No need to explain, no need to go further, because they will not going to ask you any deeper question. They only ask you identify which is ethics or maybe which is not ethics. Simple thing. Act honorably, justly, responsibly and legally. So that means be honest, lawful and fair. Pretty simple and self-explanatory kind of thing. Third, provide diligent and competent service to principal. That means they are asking for which company you are working. For them, you need to provide them a diligent and competent service to them. Know your craft, serve stakeholder effectively. And for the company you are working, you need to serve them in a good way, in an ethical way. Advance and protect the profession. This is the 4th principle. That means contribute to the growth and trustworthy of cybersecurity. That means what I am doing, I am teaching you information security CISSP. For which reason I am doing? I am doing under code of ethics of advance and protect the profession. For the advancement and protect the profession, I am sharing my knowledge. I'm giving my knowledge. I'm conducting seminar. I'm conducting CISSP videos. I'm conducting CISSP study material. I'm building questions for CISSP. These are for advance and grow the profession. So you need to remember from here, PAPA thing you need to remember. From next day you will take a pen and paper, it will be help you. And second thing you need to remember, only a employer, that means your company, can raise an issue or complaint against you under this 3rd clause. Provide diligent and competent service to the principal. So if they ask you any question under which clause, your employer can raise a complaint against you to ISC2, it is the provide diligent and competent service to principal. Okay, number 1. Number 2, advance and protect the profession. So who can raise a complaint against you? Any professional certification holder can raise a complaint against you toward ISC2. Any professional means whoever is a chartered accountant, they are also a professional. Whoever is a CISSP certified holder, they are also professional. Whoever is a IAPP certified holder of data protection kind of thing, they are also a certified professional. Any certified professional can raise a complaint against you towards the ISC2 under this clause, advance and protect the profession. Okay, so these two things, one is for employer, one is for other professional. And how about the other two? Anyone within the society can raise a complaint against you under these two clauses of ISC2 against you. So you need to remember these two things from here. Any person within these two, your employer 3, and any professional is 4. Sometimes they will ask you a question like you are dealing with a certified professional, CA kind of thing. They never mention the certified professional, they mention you are dealing with CA and you have a problem between you and the CA and the company. Now the CA want to file a complaint against you toward the ISC2. By which clause of code of ethics they will raise this complaint? If it is a CA, then it is number 4. If the company wants to raise a complaint, then it is 3. So remember, and for what type of violation or what type of complaint they can raise? It is the integrity breach. Maybe I am giving you the question of CISSP. I know the question of CISSP and I am giving you. That is the integrity breach of CISSP. I am acting as a dishonestly. So they can raise a complaint against me in such situation. And what is the punishment? Punishment is ISC2 is a non-profit seeking body. They will arrange their team members, organization member, and they investigate the case. If you found guilty, your license will be suspended. You will be given a chance to speak. If they are satisfied, maybe they will reinstate your license. If they are not satisfied, they will revoke your license. Sometime they will ban upon you, like you cannot sit on the CISSP exam for next 3 years or maybe next 5 years. Sometime they can in certain very dangerous kind of offenses. But in general, they suspend the license and they'll ask you to reappear the CISSP exam again and get another license. Okay, this is important for the exam. In 100% you will get a question from here. Okay, I know you know this thing, confidentiality, integrity, availability. So do you have can you give me any idea like what is your view on confidentiality, integrity and availability? Ask you that I am going to send an email to Shomiran and by mistake I send this email to you. So it's also a data breach because Shomiran is the person who is authorized to view that information or access that information, but somehow you are not authorized, but you can still see the information or access the information. So it's a kind of data breach. It's a kind of confidentiality breach. So the thing is, now imagine if I encrypt that email and only Shomiran has the password of that email. Is it a data breach? Yes. It is a breach of data, definitely is a breach because you are no longer authorized to access this information, but somehow you managed to get the data. But you cannot read the data. It's a data breach obviously, but impact is very less because you have no access to the data. Remember, they will confuse you like this way and you need to think like a manager. The first thing I told you, think like a manager. Okay, they will confuse you. The CISSP exam ISC2 is sitting there to confuse you 100%. Okay. Now tell me something about integrity. What is integrity? What is your view on integrity? We have given a very good example of asymmetric encryption. That's a very good thing. Okay, so main idea is ensure the data remain accurate and unaltered. Data is not altered. So if someone hacked your account, it is showing that instead of 100, it is written of 200. Someone is taken 100. So you will say, okay, I have taken 100 from the ATM. How it is showing 200 here? That means there must be some issue with the integrity possibility. That means original data is not original. It's altered. It's modified. And we should not tolerate and we should not accept this data. And can you tell me why it is important? Integrity? Yes, that is definitely true. Okay, but let me tell you another reason is very important reason which you need to think obviously first, because in GDPR data protection it is saying that we cannot process based on incorrect data. See, like a medical report. If you have a medical report and your blood group is A positive, somehow I managed that data and I changed it to B positive. Now the data is altered, and based on the data doctor advised, okay, give this patient B positive blood. If one drop of blood goes into your blood in stream, you will be dead. So integrity is really important. We cannot decide anything based on altered data. So our job is to protect the data so their integrity remain original. This is very important, and GDPR is saying data subject is a fundamental right to protect their data, to object if their data is processing in a with the basis of incorrect data, or they have right to restrict also for the data processing activity if the data is incorrect. So data integrity is very important. Healthcare, AI, even the Tesla, it's an auto driving mode. We know that Tesla have auto driving mode. Someone, if they tampered the software of the auto driving, now the person is driving, they can have an accident. So that is reason integrity is very important. And can you tell me about availability? What is availability is? Right now, the way you explain me, it's a technical way of explanation. Okay, but you need to think like a CISSP. You need to think like a manager. Now you think like a manager. Tell me another way. Let me help you here. GDPR. So the best way. Okay, let me help you more, because GDPR has a clause. Data subject has the right to access their data anytime they want to access their data. This is the reason. Now, data subject tried to access their Amazon profile. Amazon is down that time. Is it a data breach? Yes. Availability comes under the data breach, and now it is going to be illegal because GDPR is coming into here. GDPR is saying whenever they need to access, they should have access to data. Obviously, if the company definitely have the planned maintenance, that time they need to inform the data subject that from this time to this time our server will down. So that time don't try to access, maybe your transaction get hampered, just like you get the notification from your banking app. Whenever they are down, they will send you a notification, SMS, email that we are having a downtime. And the main reason is legal, then operation. First legal, then business. So if you have a CISA certification, I would say you need to first focus on business aspect. But if you are thinking of CISSP certification, I will say business comes second, legal comes first. So always think, is it a legal requirement? If it is a legal requirement, I have to do. Is it a business requirement? Okay. Then I can consider legal requirement first and business requirement second. If you see it is not a legal requirement, it's a business requirement. Now I can tweak the business decision, but legal requirement I cannot tweak. And we will go into this data protection later on. Okay. So availability, confidentiality, and integrity. And how would you like to protect our integrity and availability? Okay, let me help you. Right. So the best way to say this, let me help you. The best way to say this, see, load balancer, those comes into digital area. But if it is a physical data, as a book, as a sheet, notebook, how can you implement load balancer? Information security means you are securing any information. Cyber security means you are securing only the information which is related to cyber. So whenever you are dealing with information security, you need to deal physical as well as digital. Now the information you are trying to protect is a physical information. Is there any way you can implement load balancer? No way. So the best answer you will say, obviously, anytime redundancy. Redundancy means anything. If I have a physical information, I will make a copy of that to some other location. Just like if you have a disaster recovery plan, you want to make a copy of the disaster recovery plan and keep it in your disaster recovery location. So whenever you are implementing disaster recovery, from that location you will get the copy also. It is also a form of availability. And obviously you said the correct thing, load balancer is one of them. Another thing we can use multiple clustering for digital purpose. You are saying that is a perfect example of audit and perfect definition of audit. So what is the meaning of audit? Audit means verifying or assessing a control based on given criteria. So you have a criteria with you, you have made a checklist with you. Okay, I will ask this question, I will ask this question. This is the checklist. Based on the criteria, you are evaluating whether this control is effectively working or implemented. That is audit. Now I'll confuse you here. Tell me the definition of testing and assessment then. Audit definition is perfect. Now what is the definition of, no, tell me according to your way. No need to tell me the bookish definition. Perfect. So remember, just think, testing, you said the correct thing. Testing is a small aspect like penetration testings without having any criteria. Okay, without, I don't know, after penetration testing what will be the result, I don't know. Okay, but audit result, you know that you are implementing at a control like a access control policy. It should block or allow access to some users. Okay, now you have a sheet, your checklist with you. You need to check, okay, by giving a false username, incorrect username, number one condition, by giving a correct username, right? If it is protecting you, it is the blocking the incorrect username. That means your control is passed by a given criteria. Given criteria is it should work as it should be. An assessment, in a broader term, we are assessing the risk. Still, we definitely have a criteria like risk scoring criteria, risk matrix criteria, but we are not evaluating, definitely evaluating, but risk, but not evaluating like a audit, like a testing. We are assessing it in a bigger way around or throughout the company. It is all the definition of testing, audit and assessment, and it is a good question for the exam also. Remember this. Maybe you will they will ask you this type of question. Okay, and for the integrity, tell me what could be the control you can use or how you can protect the integrity. Yes, that is correct thing, but tell me in a technical way how you can do this thing. You said the correct thing, but now tell me in technical world how we can do this. I believe you already did this in your previous life. Checksum is one of them, but the best way, let me tell you, you have given me an example of asymmetric algorithm earlier. So what are the, okay, now tell me, what are the hashing tool have you used? SHA, okay, MD5, SHA. Okay, so hashing means if the hashing value changed, that means integrity being changed. Simple thing. The checksum, you have given me the correct example, but in technologically we will say we will use hashing algorithm to make sure that the integrity remains. But remember, MD5 has already been compromised, but still we use MD5. So hashing you cannot reverse, and encryption you can reverse. Remember this difference. Hashing you cannot reverse, encryption you can reverse, like encrypt to decrypt, decrypt to encrypt. But once the data has been hashed, you cannot back to the original data value. Like if it is you are making a hash file, making a hash with the value of numeric digit 2, whatever the value is, it's a fixed length value, right? And you cannot dehash it to 2. But sometime it happens, MD5 is already been compromised. Some tools are widely available in the market which can decrypt or dehash the value of that. But still, for the purpose of exam, we will say hash value cannot be changed for the purpose of exam. And in real life, I know what happened, what not happened. Okay. Now, what is non-repudiation to you? Help you. I have sent you an email today for the invitation, for the Teams meeting, for the Google meeting invitation. Now, if I say, I have not sent you any email, or maybe you say, okay, Dev has not sent me any email for notification. You can complain against me to the Samiran. Samiran, how about Dev? Dev did not send me any emails. Now Samiran asks me, I can show. Who's told you? See, I have the proof. I have the evidence. I sent this email to Mayuk. This is non-repudiation. I cannot deny whatever action I did already. I cannot deny. And the best way to tell you example, if you log in to your applications in your company's application, all your login activity will be stored somewhere, right? That is the thing, you cannot deny that I have not logged into that application. That is non-repudiation. And why it is necessary? Obviously, ISO 27001 saying you have to have log of user activities. That is important. And why we consider this important? Because we think ISO 27001 has an equivalent value to legal value, or it is equivalent to legal value. So that is the reason we maintain this. And if you see a very good example, if you see OAuth's top 10 vulnerabilities, under which number 9, probably I think number 9 of 2022 is one of the vulnerabilities is insufficient login and monitoring. That is the reason for non-repudiation. Okay, authenticity you don't need, but privacy you need definitely. What is privacy mean to you? Tell me. Right, your information. Okay, so the idea is, okay, you said the correct thing, but let me just modify it a bit. Okay, so from where we are getting this term privacy? We are getting this term privacy by law. By which law? Or many other laws are there, but we will think about GDPR here because we are understanding, reading our information security. So GDPR. Let me open GDPR first. So it will solve your confusion. Okay. Main idea is not controller here. Main idea is data subject. Who is data subject? You are the data subject. I am the data subject. Whose data processor or controller they process? That means Amazon is a controller. I am the data subject. And the GDPR is for us. They said that I need to make sure which data I am giving to the controller for the processing. I have the right to stop that processing. If I say, Amazon, don't process my data, Amazon is bound by law not to process the data. And obviously, business decision is a different thing. Amazon controller think, I have not asked anything to Amazon. I said, okay, process the data. Now, Amazon controller, they think, okay, we don't need to process. For why they think like this? I have made a purchase from Amazon. Now, they already delivered the product to my home. Now they don't need my data to be processed. Simple thing. For the processing activity, for the delivery purpose, they need my phone number, they need my address. Their delivery complete. Now they finish the processing. Now the controller think, okay, this user has been inactive from last 3 years. We don't need their data. Okay, let's don't process this data. This is a business decision. But in this 2 years, I can ask Amazon, okay, Amazon, whatever data you have, show me. And now you need to delete my data. You cannot process my data. That is my decision. That is the reason we have Article 12 to Article 23, all about right of data subject. And one of that is right of restriction. Right to restriction comes under the Article 18. Also, we have right to object. Article 21, GDPR. Now, earlier I told you we cannot process the incorrect data. So this is the thing. Under which article? See, Article 19, notification obligation regarding rectification or erasure of personal data, restriction of processing. And it comes under right of data subject. And also see Article 16, right to rectification. If the data subject saying you are processing my incorrect data, you have to rectify, they have to have rectify. Now don't think in other ways that I have a criminal data. I want to modify the data to non-criminal data. I cannot do that. It is also written in GDPR. What things you can do, what you cannot do. Because if you have the right to change your data, now you can ask the data controller, okay, jailer authority, okay, change my data, and now from that point you are a non-criminal. So that is not possible. Okay. So they have some definition. What is the main important thing is, I need to tell you what is the difference between controller and processor. Any idea you have who is controller and who is processor? Okay, now let me confuse you. Thing is you have a multiple department in your organization. One is HR, one is sales, one is marketing, one is technical. All of the department has a head of the department. All of the department has a top management kind of thing. They are holding some data of your customer. Who are they now? Are the data owner, are the data controller, are the data processor, or the data subject? Okay, let me help you. Okay, so in your organization, it can be possible that multiple departments are there. Every department has a separate set of data. That means your marketing team has a data which is definitely different data from the engineering department has. So every department head, generally the department head or maybe a specific person assigned to a role, either department head or any specific person assigned to a role, are the data owner. Okay, so they own the data, means they have the ownership of the data. Okay, now the thing is, sometime it happened in some company has given them permission to control the data, or maybe company has appointed a senior person who is sitting above them, above the HOD, who decide how we are going to control this data. So that means they are data controller if that person is above the HODs. If the persons who are the HOD now, if they have given a permission to control the data, now the data controller is them. So a data controller can be a data owner also. In this case, sometime it happens, sometime it's happened that data owner and data controllers are different person. You need to read the question first, read the aspect of the question, understand the question, then select the correct answer, because they will confuse you like this way. Okay, now the thing is, if the owner has only the data, they are not controlling, that means they are not controller. Simple thing. Who is controlling? Then they are controller. Now, who is processor? If a controller can be an also processor. If the controller is processing this data by themselves, they are also processor. If the controller is sending this data to some other organization, the example you just gave me, then the other company is the processor. Very simple. Whoever is processing, they are the processor. It is also can be said that a controller and processor can be a same person, same entity, or maybe a different entity based on their operation. It is also possible Amazon is processing their data by any third-party company. So third-party company is their processor. Amazon is processing this data by themselves. Now they are the controller, they are the processor. Both of them are same. Okay, this is the difference between. And data subject is always same. The end user, customer whose data is being processed. They are the data subject. Simple thing. Okay, and what is the meaning of processing? See, we are going to read the law now. Processing means any operation. We are reading from GDPR. Processing means any operation or set of operation. That means one single operation or multiple operation which performed on personal data. Perform on personal data. Whose personal data? Data subject personal data, or on set of personal data or more than one data. Whether or by automated means, that means by computer automated means, or by manual, anything, whether or, such as collection. So collection is terms of processing. I'm collecting your data, processing your data. I'm recording, I'm storing the data somewhere, is processing. Organization, I'm sorting your data. I'm structuring your data. I'm storing your data, adoption or alteration, retrieval, consultation, use, disclosure by transmission, dissemination or otherwise making available, alignment or combination, restriction, erasure, restriction. Just remember one thing, from collection to destruction, whatever is doing, whatever you are doing comes under the processing. Simple thing. Whatever you are doing comes under the processing. These things you need to remember. Okay. By any means, automatics or manual, whatever. But you need to remember few things here which is very important, which is, and 100% you will get question from here under article 6 probably. 5. Article 5, I think article 5. 6, sorry, article 6. Any information you are collecting, processing, anything, whatever is doing, GDPR has 6 legal bases. Within 6 legal bases, you need to collect, process those information. And for a CISO, for a security manager, these things are very important, because if you breach this principle, your company get huge penalty, and the penalty amount is almost 20 million euro at least for this offense, or maybe it could be higher. 4% of companies annual global turnover, whichever is higher, either 20 million euro or 4%, whichever. So the first thing is consent. Consent from data subjects. They need to take a consent from you before processing. So that is the reason in every website, if they are processing cookies, either cookies or maybe you are filling up a form, or maybe you are sending a CV to some company, they are asking for the privacy check mark box. Accept the privacy box, then submit. It's a consent. Okay. Now the second thing, processing is necessary for performance of a contract. Like the example I gave you, Amazon example I gave you. Amazon need your address for the delivery. So it's a contract. They are executing their contract. They are executing their duties. So that's why they need the address. So they're not taking the address just for their collection of data. They are taking for some purposes. And what is the purpose? Business relation purpose. Third, legal obligation. So what is legal obligation? Legal obligation means government asks that you need to keep this data for at least 5 years. For tax data, every employers in UK, they need to keep the tax data of their employers for at least 5 years. Sometimes they said, okay, if you are working in telecommunication company, you need to keep the users' internet browsing logs for 6 months. This is a legal regulation, the legal obligation for a company. And I told you earlier, you remember, for a CISO, legal regulation, legal obligation is the first things you need to think. So this is the legal obligation I'm talking about. If this is a legal obligation, you have to this is the first criteria of yours. Okay, processing is necessary in order to protect vital interest. What is vital interest? Vital interest means, you remember, whenever we are into COVID period, the government employees, they are going to every home, they are asking whether you have a vaccination or not, how many people within your home have COVID already, how many people have taken vaccination. They are collecting the data. For what reason? They are doing a research kind of things, which area is prone to COVID, which area is not prone to COVID, how many vaccination we need, how many vaccination we need to procure. Those are for vital interest for people. So that is a government project. This is all about vital interest. If it is affecting, remember just this way, if it is affecting multiple, a huge number of users, huge number of people among crowd, for their benefit, it is vital interest. Okay, another thing, performance on public interest. Public interest and vital interest almost same. So, okay, the example I have given you, it is for public interest. Okay, now what is vital interest? I have given you the wrong example of vital interest. I've given you the correct example of public interest. So vital interest means a patient, they went to hospital. Now they cannot speak. So doctors are, they're asking, okay, what is your blood group? Tell me what is your blood group. Do you have any health condition? And the patient is senseless. They cannot speak. Now doctors take their biometric to check their medical record in their database. So ultimately they are processing data because they are collecting their information. They are reading their information. So that type of intention is called vital interest. Based on the benefit of some person, they are doing this thing. So this is allowed in medical, in some other aspect. Whenever data subject is helpless, that time they need help, so that the vital interest comes here. So this is one of the method you can collect information. And the last one, legitimate interest. What is legitimate interest? Legitimate interest means company, sometime they will ask you questions whenever you are trying to fill up a employment form or job application form. They ask you some mandatory questions like your phone number, email ID, name, first name, last name. Sometimes they ask you questions which is not mandatory, like what school did you study? So you see there is a no mandatory asterisk sign next to the question. So that means those questions are not mandatorily required by them. It is the company's way, their interest to get the data. Maybe they have some reason. They need to send you maybe other job opportunities. Maybe they need to send you marketing emails, what kind of thing. So that is the reason they are collecting the data. That is legitimate interest. They are, for the purpose of interest, they are collecting the data. Simple thing. So if it is a mandatory, then it will be a star mark. If it is not mandatory, that means the legitimate interest of the organization. So you can skip this information, obviously. There's no way you can mandatorily give this in consent or give the data to them. Okay, now let me tell you one thing. Remember one thing, legitimate interest cannot supersede or cannot suppress your privacy. If the privacy impact is huge, then the company cannot use legitimate interest. If the privacy is affecting by their decision, by their processing activity, they cannot use legitimate interest. Or in other hand, data subject had opportunity to exercise their right by way of stop processing activity or restrict the processing activity. I think this collection of data is overriding my privacy. Okay, I'll ask data subject, No, I'm not going to tell you. Sometime it happens. In in interview, one of the interviewer, they are asking, what is your current salary? So now you need to think, is it a legal requirement for them? No way, it cannot be a legal requirement. So what are the other conditions they can take this decision? Okay, consent could be one condition. They're asking for the consent, possibly. Performance of contract? No, because we have not agreed into any agreement. It is just an interview. It cannot be possible. So legal obligation? No. Vital interest? No, because it's related to public. Public interest? No. What are the other relations? Legitimate interest could be possible because it is their interest. Because they want to know what is your salary. Based on that, they will offer you a salary. So now you think, okay, this might be possible, my privacy getting hampered. I'm not going to tell them. Okay, now I'll say, why you need this information? Tell me under Article 6 of GDPR, out of the 6 method of processing activities, which one are you going to choose here? If they have GDPR knowledge, they won't ask you again. If they have no GDPR knowledge, they will ask you something like, we don't need any legal obligation, we don't need any requirement, lawfulness to collect this information. Yes, it happens to me also. So the company was asking me, why do you want to leave your current company? So I said, what is the purpose of getting this information? Is it related to your interview purpose? And the interviewer was shocked. They said, okay, we don't need any lawfulness of contract. So I said, why you are saying this? Because I am in UK, I am an UK resident, and you are processing my data because you are processing UK citizens' data, and also your business is established in UK. You have to follow GDPR. They said they have no knowledge of GDPR, how adamant they are. They said, we don't need any lawfulness, any legal method of collecting your information. It's a pretty common question for all interviews. So I will ask you, if you cannot give answer, we cannot continue this interview. See the adamancy of them, because they don't know the GDPR. But they don't know also the penalty if they cannot provide the lawfulness of processing activity or collection of data. It's a minimum 20 million euro, minimum, no discount at all. So because of this awareness, these companies are facing this problem. So we have all 6 examples, and you need to know this for the exam. 100% you will get questions from here. Okay, but there are a lot of ifs and else are there, a lot of conditions are there in GDPR. I'm not going into depth because it is the subject matter of CIPPE exam, but we are going to CISSP, so that's why I'm not going into them. But remember these things, this is very example, and I have given you practical example how it happens. So consent, let me tell you another thing of consent, very interesting thing. They will ask you conceptual question, not in-depth law, but if your concept is clear, you can give any answer. Okay, so I'm not going into depth of this law, I'm just giving you the concept so that you can understand. Okay, so maybe they will ask you during a meeting, you are collecting the data from this data subject, by which method you are going to apply for data collection based on GDPR. Now you'll be confused. Okay, which requirement I need to find out? So you need to remember this 6 point: consent, performance of contract, legal obligation, vital interest, public interest, and legitimate interest. These are pretty simple 6 terms, and they are pretty self-explanatory. So only thing may be confused for you is the public interest and vital interest. But vital interest means, just remember, hospital case, and public interest means just remember the COVID case. Simple example, nothing you need to remember. Legitimate interest means just remember company asking lot of information, those are not asterisk marks. Okay, so consent. So consent, generally what happens, if you open any web page, they will ask for the consent. So we know about the cookie consent only, but consent has a very big impact. Let me give you an example of consent. So whenever you are applying a form, job application form, you will see there is a consent form at the end before the submit and at the end of the form. You need to select all of them, then you need to submit. So now the thing is, we never read what's written on there. So if they are collecting the data based on consent, then actually it is illegal. Simple thing. Because Information Commissioner Office of UK, they said consent cannot be a legal method for employment. Because what is the reason? Reason is very simple. The relationship between employer and employee cannot be equal. Never be equal. Employee always think, if I am not giving consent, it could have negative impact. Maybe I'll be rejected for the job. So to get the job, they always give the consent. And this is the best way for the employer to collect the data. Because they know, if I ask for the consent, employee definitely would give me consent, because they have also a negative thinking in their mind. If they don't give me consent, I'll reject them. Simple thing. So this is the main thing the Information Commissioner Office said. Due to this improper balance of power, consent cannot be a valid reason for employment. So whatever form, application form you are filling, if those data they are collecting by the way of consent, those are all illegal and they don't know the law. Simple thing. Okay, a lot of the people, lot of the very good company, they also don't know what is the consent actually means. So now another condition of consent, let me tell you. If I put a gun to your head and say, okay, give the consent, sign here, is it a consent? Obviously company will say it's a consent. Now the GDPR say a different thing. GDPR is not dealing with consent. GDPR is dealing with free consent. And let me show you that, how it is written on free consent. Article 4, 1F. Consent. See, consent of data subject means freely given. So how should I know that consent is freely given? I need to give you a mechanism by where you can withdraw your consent. Just like cookie banner, they given us option: reject all cookies, accept essential cookies, allow all cookies. So essential cookies are related for the web page to load. We need to accept this, right? But those are not required, like the analytical cookies. We don't need. We have an option to reject the decision, to reject the cookie decision. So that is freely given. We need to be given a mechanism by which we can opt out the consent. Simple thing. Okay, these things you need to know for the exam. Okay, now I'm going back to the slide. Okay, we covered a lot of things today, I know, but don't worry, I will end here. Okay. Now tell me if you have any idea of difference between policy, standard and procedure. In the CIS control, CIS benchmarking, they have small policies like password aging policy, password expiration policy. Those are also policy. Those are not signed by anyone. How? So, okay, let me help you, no worry. So policy basically is a high level document. Just like a password policy. Okay, so password policy means your organization have a password policy. They will say, okay, in our password policy, we should have password aging policy, we should have password expiration policy, blah 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 policy we should have within the password policy. Standard is something which will define as a middle kind of document between policy and procedure. Standard will say, okay, our password policy should be alphanumeric. Our password policy minimum should be 8 character, maximum should be 20 character. It should include the passphrase, and the expiration period minimum we have to set for 60 days. This is standard. And the procedure is how administrator will implement this. Like administrator need to go Active Directory, they need to open group policy. From that, they need to change the setting. They need to make it available, make it enforced for all the users, all the computer. This is procedure. So policy is very high level and procedure is very low level, and in between we have standard. Policy is what we have to do and procedure is how we have to do, and standard is defining how the policy should be implemented, like 8-character password, how complex will it will be, how many days we need to keep the password, after that how many times user cannot set their old password. Those kind of thing will be written in standard. This is the main difference. Okay, you need to know this for the exam. Strategic planning, tactical planning, operational planning. So any planning for the long-term vision, remember long-term vision and remember the term 3 to 5 years is called strategic planning. So you are making a plan on your organization that within 5 years we will do these things. These are the strategic planning. Tactical planning, midterm, 1 year to 3 year is tactical plan, and operational plan is short term, like we need to configure this router, we need to change this setting. This is an operational thing, and you will get a question from here. Strategic planning, tactical planning, and operational planning. So it is important, but you know this thing, I'm not going deep into this. So this is the organization roles and responsibilities. Remember, CEO, who is the Chief Executive Officer, ultimately accountable for everything. Remember, ultimately accountable for everything within the organization. And CFO handles the financial responsibility. Obviously, if any financial responsibility comes in or comes up, the CFO will be the responsible, but ultimate responsible will be the CEO. Okay. CIO is oversees IT's vision. Any IT related vision is covered by the CIO, Chief Information Officer. CISO is the one who develops and leads the security vision and strategy. So your role could be CISO or CIO. So your vision should be develop and lead the security vision and strategy of organization. How the organization will be going to implement their vision and mission of information security within their organization. It could be a tactical planning, it could be a operational planning, it could be a strategic planning. CISO is the one who decide and implement this. How they do this? They bridge the gap between business goal and security execution. So it could be possible in your ISO 27001 audit or SOC audit, you need to implement some control, some access control. CISO's view is how we can, because we have lot of applications running in our organization. We need to identify those. We need to select a proper control. We need to conduct gap assessment. After gap assessment, we need to select a proper control. We need to assess the vendors from where we are going to get the controls. Then we need to test that control. Then we need to implement the control. And after that, evaluation of the control, whether our implemented control working the same way as expected, whether it is meeting our criteria or not. These things CISO have to do. Definitely not by them. They delegate their responsibility to some other technical person as well. But the main idea, the main mission, the main showing the way, CISO is the one who do this thing. So CISO has a big responsibility. You also have a big responsibility, and CISO guide that path. So that is the business requirement, business objective, and CISO help to implement them in real world. Okay. Now, there's other roles also. Security manager, develop program, leads team, align with strategy. Security officer, implement and maintain control strategy. So definitely every organization have some common thing, but apart from them, they can use their own set of roles within their organization. Security analyst also is a technical job, is a technical way executive level role where they monitor, detect, analysis threat, like SIEM analyst, SOC analyst. They monitor, detect, analyze threat. Those are the role of security analyst. This is a either mid-level role or a low level role. I'm not saying low level, I'm saying mid level role or the technical person of role. Security engineer is a technical based role. Design, implement technical solution, like who is configuring the endpoint, who is configuring the DLP, who is configuring the router. That's security engineer. Analyst, analyze them. Okay, is it correct? Let's see how it is correct. Let's see the logs. Let's see the anomalies from the log. Analysts, they do this thing. And this is important for the question. That is the reason I'm telling you. Okay, I already covered data owner. I need to cover data custodian and data steward. Data custodian means your IT team. Just remember your IT team who maintain everyday's day-to-day activity, who do everyday day-to-day activity in respect of data. Remember, in respect of data, this is the key point here. Whoever is doing this, implement control to protect the data, is data custodian. And who do these things? Your IT team is do this thing. Data custodian. And who is data steward? Data steward is the one who is a subject matter expert. So the thing is, data controller, they are the high level role. Okay, and the maximum high level role, they know the business, they don't know the technicalities, the expertise with the data. So they assign someone who has a knowledge of the data. Like if your company is collecting the PII or SPII, maybe the data controller, they have no knowledge of GDPR, so they appoint a DPO. So DPO will decide. DPO will now work as a on behalf of controller as a data steward. They will decide. Though DPO is an individual, it is nothing related to steward. But let me just give you an example here. They collect, they set the rules, they set the policy. Okay, based on this legal requirement, we are collecting this PII and this SPII. So now they have a knowledge of GDPR, their expertise subject matter specific of GDPR. Now based on that, they implement certain policies and they do whatever they ask to do by the controller with the data. So they give also advice on compliance, like, okay, we cannot collect this data because it's a SPI data and we are not authorized by any legal requirement. We have no legal obligation, so we are not going to collect this data. They will advise this to data controller. Now data controller said, okay, this is the expert, I should listen to them. Okay, so this is the data steward. So remember this term, subject matter expert, data steward, and day-to-day activities and implement control to protect the data is data custodian. And you will get a question from here. 100%, one or two question you will get from this data steward, controller, processor, and data subject from here. 100% you will get a question. So administrator, who is administrator? You know, your system administrator, maintain and secure IT system. They are the administrator. They have a privilege level access, like which is separate, which is a high level privilege from any other user. They are the administrator. They maintain and secure IT system. This is the important. Maintain and secure IT system. Simple. Auditor, who is auditor? Who verify compliances and investigation violations. Simply define the audit. Or definition of audit is verifying as evaluation of the implemented control process by a given criteria. Whoever is doing this is the auditor. Simple thing. And user, who consume the data. From user you won't get any question, but from auditor also you won't get any question, from administrator also you won't get any question, but from data subject, data controller, data processor, and data steward and data custodian, from here you will get a question. And the flow of responsibility is like some organization, they have a flow of responsibility like from top management to low management. From this way they generally, it happens in every organization, but some organization we can see the flow of information is like laterally. This is the way, but I don't think you will get a question from here. Okay, in organization, every organization, they have a security awareness and training education kind of thing they need to implement. Why it is so? Because ISO 27001, under ISO 27001, it is a requirement, and they have to have a training system in the organization, because under Article 27,001 2022 under clause 7.2 it is written competent. So how do we measure competent? We measure competent by way of certification, by way of continuous professional development, by way of conducting training, webinar, those kind of things. So we need to have need to keep that record that this employee has attended this training and this employee is now competent to do this thing. This is a legal requirement. So that is the reason awareness training, those are very important. And in organization, every organization, they cannot keep a physical trainer. They also have a LMS kind of thing. They have a interactive method of learning, LMS, those kind of thing they keep. Okay, the way I have been asked a question in an interview, how can you motivate or can you give idea to your employer, to your management regarding this and regarding the encouragement of security training? So the answer is very simple. Gamification is one of them, incentives is one of them, offer food coupon, gift voucher. Those are the way we encourage employees to complete their security training. Some organization, they don't encourage. They said, okay, if you are not completing this training, these are the mandatory training, we are not giving you authorization or the access to log into our application. So if you want salary and you need to work, so to complete the training first, then come to the floor. So they send this thing also. Okay. And how we measure how many people completed the session, completed the training, by way of matrix. That matrix is called KPI, key performance indicator. By way we understand, okay, these are the awareness before our training implementation. Now this is the awareness, the increased. It's a graphical way to understand the KPI. So some company will say, okay, I need to fulfill the KPI because their target is fulfill the KPI up to 90% or up to 80% within a given framework, within a given time frame. Okay. I'm sure definitely you know what is social engineering. Social engineering is psychological manipulation, simply psychological manipulation to trick individual into compromising information system. Like, okay, lottery scam, credit card scam, like lot of scams happen due to this social engineering tool, because they try to trick user. And the main reason, you know what is the main reason for the social engineering? Can you say? Why people get into trap for social engineering attacks? Yes, perfect. Greed is the main thing. Greed is the main thing for social engineering. If you have a greed, and that is the reason people get into it. Okay. Okay, these are the way of social engineering happen. Pretexting. Pretexting means fake story to gain trust. That means, okay, my uncle is in hospital, I need money. Those are the fake story they generally try to feed to the user. Quid pro quo is another thing. Quid pro quo, giving something to get something. Giving something to get something. Okay, I helped you, now it's your turn to help me. Like it's a internal guilt. Okay, already he helped me, I need to help. This is the guilt. So this guilt make them fall into trap. Talking about is here. So we have lot of type of phishing: spear phishing, whaling. The top management, they are the whale aimed at the executive level, high value asset. Spear phishing, target. Spear means the sharp edge. So the spear phishing targeted employees. Smishing means SMS text. SMS smishing. Valves. Spitting is spam over telephony, pre-recorded calls. So sometimes I get calls. Okay, I'm calling from TikTok HR. If you want to get a job, call. Send a message in WhatsApp. So this is called spam over internet telephony, pre-recorded calls. Spam. Spam is phishing via instant messaging. IM by any instant messaging, they send this information. Social engineering attack. Okay, tailgating. So we have only 2 more slides, no worry. So we have tailgating. Tailgating means, what is tailgating? Any idea? Okay. Tailgating is following someone through secure door unnoticed. Okay, let me give you an example. And what is piggybacking? Piggybacking is convincing someone to let you in. What is the difference between tailgating and piggybacking? A simple thing, very simple thing. Tailgating means you are entering into any building, someone is following you, you have not noticed. That means without your knowledge, someone already come inside. Like you swap your card, swap your ID card, the gate opens and you enter, and someone instantly try to enter with you. That is tailgating. And piggybacking means, okay, you are on the lift, someone holding popcorns in their both hands, they said, oh mate, can you click on the fifth floor? I have I have 2 hands only, and both our hands are engaged with popcorns, I cannot swipe. Okay, you said okay, no worry, let me help you. Let press the 5, and now after clicking 5, the elevator is asking for swapping your ID card. Now instead of swapping their card, you swap your card. Okay, this person is already holding 2 cans with them, how can he swap? Let me swap myself. So with your knowledge, without your knowledge, you are letting someone in. With your knowledge means piggybacking, without your knowledge means tailgating. Okay, shoulder surfing. Shoulder surfing means, okay, I'm typing my password, and from my shoulder, from the above of my shoulder, you are looking what I am typing. It's called shoulder surfing. Okay, and dumpster diving means, whenever we throw our important documents, information to the dustbin, someone trying to find the dustbin for some valuable information. Those are called dumpster diving. Always remember, trust but verify is the best defense. And we will going to read this when we will going to read zero trust policy. So zero trust policy, the main concept is trust but verify. Why it is so? Because in the current system what we have, if we can enter our system, the system is persistent. That means we can have as much as access to that system. The systems think that we are safe, we are secure, so they gives us access unless we log out from the six systems. Now what happened, this is the biggest problem here. So one attacker can move laterally from one application to one application, one system to one system. Like for example, if you have an Active Directory and the system thinks you are the 100% genuine user, they let you log in, and after login you can access any system within the organization. Now zero trust policy, after implementing zero trust policy, whenever and wherever you are trying to go or access any service policies, every time it will check your authentication and authorization. How? The best example is Outlook 365. Whenever you are trying to log into the Microsoft Outlook 365, every time they'll ask you verify. Every time they check, do you have authentication or authorization? Like if you are using email, after that you trying to log into your OneDrive, it will ask you, or maybe Copilot, it will ask you again, okay, sign in again, and you need to again click your email ID. Again you need to go for either MFA if the MFA is enabled, or if it's not enabled, then you need to go with the next procedure, and then you need to access the thing. This comes under the zero trust policy. Always they will verify who you are, who say you are, and what is your permission access. Based on that they will give you access, because it is only to prevent lateral movement. Lateral movement is a very dangerous kind of attack. So every time they try to stop you from lateral movement by implementing zero trust policy. This is the thing. Okay, so this is, I have completed lot of things here. I have completed here. I will be going to tell you some definitions, but not today, from the next class. Just give me a moment. Let me just do you have any question out of this here? Okay, so let me just close the recording first. Okay.